No, there are problems that we have to tackle on our African continent. There are many problems across the world. Every continent, every country have their own problems to deal with. But we are talking about Africa now. First, Africa is not a monolith. We have many countries, we have regions, we have relations among ourselves, different countries and regions and the whole continent relate with other parts of the world in many different ways and benefit each other. But specifically for Africa, there is a history that we can learn from, a history that has deprived Africa of so many things, exploited resources of our continent, and the resources benefits went outside rather than benefiting the people of our continent. That's fine. In my view, this should be something we can and should have learned from. What we can do among ourselves, with others, and that can benefit all of us. As they normally and frequently talk about win-win situation. There are things, relationships, working together wins. So then with all this, we need to therefore avoid having suffered in our history in the past and different tragedies, and we need to leave behind us, far behind us, the sense of victimhood. We can't be trapped in that we are victims of the past and so on and so forth. So we just need to seize the moment, because we really have everything that should do us proud, whether it is the resources, natural resources, or human capital, or all kinds of things. So having said all that, we see problems everywhere, also in different parts of our continent. And there is poverty that shouldn't be here after so many decades, after this tragic history I was talking about in different parts. Yeah. And if we look at ourselves in comparison with other parts of the world, there are certain African countries or regions that were better off than other countries on other continents, let's say 50 years ago. And now what has happened on our continent, there has been either stagnation or reversal of the gains we should have been making or had made. And these countries that were so much behind us are hundreds of times better than us. So there is a question you must answer, certainly.
That comes down to leadership, though, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
It does. I was just telling this story so that I talk about leadership in conclusion. I was giving a background. So what is lacking, therefore? What is it? Indeed, there is that leadership. There is that unity around the purpose. There is, taking the opportunity that is before us and translating it into the aspirations, the needs of what people are capable of in the first place. So this requires leadership, it requires governance, it requires accountability, it requires assessing and challenging ourselves and, holding us, ourselves accountable in case you expected something out of your effort and it is not there. We should be able to say why. So leadership is about, therefore, the management of all these processes and getting the outcome you want, you had intended to get, or you had designed to get. So leadership is not just something in abstract. In the end, and it's not just a theory. In the end, it must give you something that is tangible, that you can see, that you can touch, that you can feel, and even put in numbers. So on our continent, we still have a lot of work to do. And it doesn't serve us well that we blame each other or we point fingers. But no, the fact is, for us being able to simply seize the moment and to do what we ought to do to deliver for our people and therefore the whole continent. The risk profile for Africa is deliberately exaggerated. To benefit those who, anyway, dictate the way things go.
Want favorable deals for themselves, basically.
Absolutely. So we have to be clear about that. And this fits into some of the topics that were discussed here when we were talking about whether Africa is at the table or is on the menu. And I think many times it is both. Because even when some people are at the table, they think they have raised their level, but actually they don't realize that at some point, whenever somebody decides that they be eaten up on the menu, that will happen. So, but we should be very conscious of that, and therefore not to deceive ourselves, but operate as people with that, coming from that background or the context of what dictates things in the world. So in our case, we have had great partnerships. And from the beginning, partnerships for development, partnerships in economic activities, in partnership for development, from the outset. That was like 15, 20 years ago. We got our partners used to the fact that this is our country, these are our problems, we must address them, we appreciate partners, we appreciate support, we appreciate everything, but we don't appreciate anybody trying to replace us in our own affairs and do either to do things for us or to dictate to us what we must be doing, because we kept saying we are the masters of our own destiny.
What's the ratio of the guys coming in and wanting to dictate versus the guys coming in wanting to actually do something good?
Well, those who want to do something, we sit and discuss.
Yeah.
There's what we want, there's what they want. So we talk about how each one of us benefits from what is under transaction. So it's fair for them, it's fair to us. So we make sure that that is what happens. Let me tell you a couple of things. We've done different deals in sports, in different areas. For example, I'll tell you, we have a partnership with the PSG, with Bayern Munich, with Arsenal, with... and you know, when we did that, we made sure that they benefit and we benefit. Yeah. But you could have seen, maybe you did, what was written in the papers. Saying Rwanda, how does Rwanda go for this, or they are spending money on this, they are doing that, and we had to keep explaining. So we are spending money, but we are receiving money too. So it is not just spending. The money we spend is, even when you spend, sometimes I go watch football, even in the stadiums, here or there in those countries where we have partnerships. I spend my money to buy the ticket. In fact, one of the people who dictate accused me one time when I was in London attending Arsenal game at Emirates, said, you see, this man comes here and we give the money for support and he spends it in the stadium watching football. So I told these people, I say, you know what? I earn a salary for the work I do. So I spend my salary to go and watch football. So I didn't spend, so I told them I didn't spend their money. I spent my money, personal money from my earnings as, salary for what I do. So, but it may sound simplistic, but the moral of it is that there's always somebody somewhere wanting to dictate to you how you live your life, how you conduct every business you do for yourself or for your country, even for the country to be dictated to which direction it must take. And we have refused that. And therefore, again, talking about leadership, I'm sure there are many others who do even better things than that somewhere else in other countries. But it still comes to leaders in any level of society being able to identify the purpose of what they want, how they must achieve it, and how, therefore, even for self-respect, we cannot have a relationship that is lacking respect. I will always respect you, but you must return respect.
It's the criticism and the hypocrisy that really is